So please welcome Mr. Ali Javed.
Hello, testing. Lovely. Thank you very much, Tracy. I'll start with, in the name of God, the most beneficial, the most merciful. I'll try and top the last speaker, who spoke very passionately. I won't be talking as passionately, but I will be trying to hopefully educate some people around here. So obviously, human trafficking, modern-day slavery, put that together because, you know, there's an act and there's a means to everything. So let's try and start it, because I've only got 5, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Okay. The Church of Scientology have been very, very helpful. Actually, last Sunday, we had an event here that lasted more than 2 hours, where we had a big scenario training. So hopefully we're going to run another one of those very soon. I'll start off hopefully with just what is human trafficking, because most people, you know, they don't actually know the exact detail. But so this is from the European Convention Against Trafficking. They say trafficking is human beings that shall mean the recruitment, the transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt. Can also mean by the use of threats, of force, or other forms of coercion. So anything that, all of the above. I've tried to go as quickly as possible because otherwise I could speak too much. But what about modern day slavery? So this term actually encompasses a range of exploitive measures that can originally come from human trafficking. So it's practices where individuals are subject to various forms of coercion and control. So it can refer to people who are deprived of their freedom, which we just saw the human right, people who are forced to work under very severe conditions, and people often under duress, so they're stuck there and without proper compensation. But we'll come up to that. So a little bit about the scale of it. So you can see there's quite a few numbers on it, but I'll just focus on the first ones. 50 million people worldwide. They're in modern slavery. Wow. 50 million people, and we think it's abolished. No. 28 million people are in forced labor globally. So that was modern slavery. This is forced labor. So again, not every bit of slavery is forced. A lot of people do it because they have no other choice. Then we've got in the UK, we said that it's not in here, 100,000 people in the UK are thought to be in modern slavery. So it's a very big issue. 43% of, if you don't know what the NRM is, the National Referral Mechanism, is where people can get help on, you know, getting away from their slavers, their captures. But 43% are actually children. That's a terrible fact. So I don't want to go too much on there, but let's look at the worldwide scale. So we've got a few colors here. It's meant to be kind of purpley, but it looks red on here. But on the left side, versus red, which is sexual exploitation, and blue, which is forced labor, you can see the majority of the southern, North America and South America and Central America are majority sexual exploitation. Can anyone give me a percentage of how much of the human trafficking is sexual exploitation? What percentage? Anyone think of it? 30? Anyone else? No, 79%. 79% of all human trafficking is due to sexual exploitation. And what do you think the majority of them are? Women and children, young girls especially. If anyone's seen the film Sound of Freedom, you'll see that's just a very, very small percentage. But you can see other areas around the world, Africa and mostly Eastern Asia, it's a lot of forced labor. We know that happens a lot. And Europe, it's equal for both, but leaning towards sexual exploitation. So what are the forms of human trafficking, modern-day slavery? So we already spoke about one, which is forced labor. Anyone else? You pick anyone out of the hat?
What do you mean examples?
Examples of human trafficking, modern-day slavery? Yes, madam? Coercion, yes. But what are the forms? I'll go through a few of them. So it's, which one, sorry? County lines, yeah. That's criminal exploitation, a lot of young people as well. Homeless people in this country is very common. So we've got child labor, forced labor. We've got domestic servitude, very common, especially in this country and other countries around the world. Sex trafficking, we spoke about. Debt bondage, very common. People pay a lot of money, just to come across in the small boats. It's obviously a shame that people have to go through such hardships to try and find a place to settle. But they pay 10,000, 20,000 euros, and normally it's with a debt. So they'll have to work it off, and eventually they don't actually get there. Criminal exploitation, we spoke, for example, county lines and so on. Oh, God, 2 minutes left. Forced marriages. We got refugee and migrant exploitation. Very big. Today is actually International Migrant Day by the UN. And obviously we had Human Rights Day last Sunday. So it's very important that these people need to be treated, because they haven't got much choice. Sometimes they come from very far away. They have no other choice, so they have to go. And organ trafficking. big business, especially in Africa and Asia. It's very common nowadays. What about recruitment techniques? I'm going to try and go as fast as I can because...
You can slow down.
Yeah, okay.
I'm struggling to listen.
Okay, no worries. So a few recruitment techniques. I'll go through a few, and if anyone wants to shout one out before it comes up, let me know. We've got deceptive job offers. Very common, especially internationally. People say, come, it'll give you a good job. We'll pay this much. You get freedom. You get to travel, but then essentially they get trapped. And that could be by other forms. So it doesn't have to be just one. Could be many. False promises. That comes with deceptive job offers. We've got abduction. Obviously, that speaks for itself. Romantic manipulation. Yeah. Anyone have any experiences? No. I'm also waiting for some romantic manipulation, but it's very common. And friendship or family approaches. It's common. People sell their family members, extended family. They give them away. So it's very bad. Exploitation of crisis situations. Too many crises happening nowadays. So that's obviously very common. Social media and online recruitment. Obviously, in the age of the 21st century, globalization, media, you can see that Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts are being used to sell people, sell children. And you think, we open our eyes, just keep scrolling, zombie scrolling, but it can be used in bad ways. Trafficking within communities, it's a global issue. Kidnapping and forced recruitment, obviously it speaks for itself there. Drugging, that comes up with multiple things, but it speaks for itself as well. Exploitation of addiction. This kind of goes with other things. It could be false promises, like county lines, for example, where you promise it, we'll give you a little bit of drugs if you sell the rest or you transport something. So it goes without saying. And falsification of documents. Again, it goes with many other things. So what sort of signs to look out for? What would a human trafficking victim, a survivor, or even a potential victim, what to look out for? So it's distrustful of authorities. Sometimes you speak to them. I don't want to speak to anyone. I don't want to get in trouble with the Home Office. I don't want to get in trouble with the police. Or they don't want to get their own family in trouble. Because a lot of the time, family members are used as in captivity. So we have to be very careful. Fear or anxiety speaks for itself. Psychological trauma, people who have gone, traveling the world or experienced some really disturbing things. Sometimes they just don't want to speak. So look out for these. And, some people will show by their facial structure, how they act, how they walk, anything. Willingness to do anything, to look for help, to ask for help, to do basic items and things. Control. So look for things for control. People being held. Do you think they've got anything on their hands or anything of the such? Location. Are people being stayed in one location, or is one location being used as like a transit location? Sometimes they use a house where they hold people momentarily while they're falsifying documents or moving people or trying to make arrangements. Movement goes with the location, as well as documentation. So a lot of this is a difficult thing, documentation. A lot of people don't have visas and so on, so they might get them falsified, and this is something you have to look out for. Documentation is also held by employers. So if you're working in a very difficult job, you're being held there, you can't leave. They've got your documents, you owe money to them or anything of the sort. I can talk about, there's loads of signs, but we've got a little leaflet you can grab which has signs and how to contact people. Just a quick one, vulnerable populations. I'll go as fast as I can. Women and girls, we spoke about already. Children, like I said, the majority of, I think it's like 80% of human trafficking victims are children. I think it's 50%. 80% is the women and girls. Migrants and refugees, big issue right now. If you don't know, there's a recent story. One person living in Ilford, I don't know where he was from now, I think Iran or some European country, he's been charged with bringing 10,000 people over in small boats. And he had a whole criminal network. He used to charge £10,000. He used to source his boats from places like Turkey and then transport them and then try and push them over. 10,000 he used to charge per person. And he took over, he said, 10,000 people. So it's a big business. It's very difficult. They call it a business. I say it's a $150 billion business in Europe alone. Poverty-stricken individuals, homeless individuals, individuals with disabilities, they can be gullible, they could be looked down upon by their own family members or not looked after properly. Indigenous populations, not so much in this country, but a lot of countries they are looked down upon and treated as third-class citizens. Victims of domestic violence, they're looking for something else to go. Uneducated and illiterate, and obviously rural populations. Obviously, people move away from rural populations to cities to try and find better jobs and better pay. This is the last slide. I'm sorry, Tracy. So I think the big thing is I can talk for hours, and it'll be great if you guys can come to one of our next events. But we have to look at the buyers are the criminals too. If there is no demand, if there's no demand, there won't be any supply. So if 80%, nearly 80% is sex trafficking, there's a big demand out there. So this is one story, actually. It's about a lady called Anna. She was a victim of human trafficking and sexual exploitation. And people used to pay 200 euros to spend a few hours with her. And they knew it. They knew that this was sexual exploitation. This was a brothel. But they knew it and they didn't care. It's terrible. So it's a big issue around the world. Now you've seen the scale. So I can only open your eyes and give you knowledge. And there's so many signs to look at and scenarios. We actually had a bit of scenario training here, scenarios of sexual exploitation, debt bondage, forced labor, and it's happening here in the UK. So I hope you guys have learned something. And thank you very much, Tracy, and the Church of Scientology for everything. Thank you very much. Sorry. Yes. No worries.
So thank you so much. I mean, it's a massive topic, and Ali is such an expert. And they have the Stop the Trafficking, they these fantastic flyers, and it's like all of the signs that he went over: what to look for, what to do, how you can help. And they also Stop Trafficking run amazing workshops, training workshops. So you come for the afternoon and you get lots of information. Then you have to do scenarios and really application. That's what we need. We need to stop the trafficking and the modern slavery. So thank you very much.